Hi guys, thank you for joining us today. My name is Brianna Davis with internationalstudent.com, and today we're going to be covering a topic that most of you have a question about at least one point in time. We get a lot of questions on this, and that's international scholarships. So we're going to be talking about how you can find scholarships, where to look, and then what to do after you actually find a scholarship, along with a few pointers that you'll want to keep in mind along your search. All right, so first thing is first, before we get started, keep in mind that you can send in any questions that you have that we don't address in the Hangout. You can send those into the chat feature that's right there on the right-hand side, and we will get to those at the end of the Hangout. So don't worry if we haven't addressed a specific question that you have, we will get to that in the end. All right, so let's get started. Now, first thing is first, we have a top tip for you, and two things that you will want to be whenever you're searching for scholarships are determined and detail-oriented. Now, scholarships are free money, and most of the time you're not going to find a company that is readily willing to just give away money without you having to do a little bit of work first. And that's where it's important to be determined, because it's going to take time, first of all, to find that scholarship. As you probably already know, there are a few out there that are available, but it takes time to sift through all of them. So stick with it. You have to set aside some time to really focus and search for scholarships. Plus, after you find that scholarship, you're going to have to put in a lot of work. You might have to write an essay, you'll have to complete the scholarship application, and you have to run around campus trying to compile documents, maybe even around town. You'll have to maybe get letters of recommendation, you'll have to get your transcript, maybe a financial statement to show that there's need. So it does take work, but stay determined, and this is going to be a good trick into being one of the last ones standing when it comes to applying for that award. Now, detail-oriented. It's very important to stay organized. That's going to help you to be detail-oriented. Now, whenever it comes to being detail-oriented, there's a few reasons that this is important. First of all, scholarships will have eligibility requirements. So if you're not paying attention to details, maybe you miss one of the eligibility requirements, perhaps you have to be an undergraduate student and you're a graduate student, that's going to automatically eliminate you from being eligible. So pay attention to details before you put in all of the hard work of finding the scholarship and applying, and that way you won't be wasting time. So detail-oriented, it's very important because, one, it'll help you to win that award, and it'll help you from wasting your own time when searching and applying. All right, so now that you have our two top items that you want to keep in mind whenever you're finding scholarships, this is a document that we suggest that you create whenever you find awards that you are interested in applying for. So before you ever begin the search, you'll want to create this document. And what this is going to do is it's going to help you with the second item that we discussed, being detail-oriented and organized. So here you want to have each of these items on your spreadsheet. You might want to pull up an Excel or a Google Doc and put it into there. And then you'll have each of the scholarships that you want to apply for listed out here. So the first thing that you'll want to include for your scholarships that you find is the link. Nothing is worse than finding a great scholarship that you want to apply for, just to have it lost in cyberland later on. You go back and you can't find it. So this is going to help ensure that you have that link readily available. That way you have it any time that you need. Second is going to be the due date. Most scholarships, they do have a deadline, so you want to make sure that you put that due date in there. Some of them are rolling, meaning that it's just continuous. They don't have a specific due date, but most of them do have a deadline. So you'll want to make sure you put the due date in there. That's going to help ensure that you don't miss the deadline. It's also going to help you prioritize. You can see which scholarships have a deadline that's coming up right away, and so you'll know, okay, I have to get all of the documentation ready for this one and submit it on time. Next is the amount. Not only is it kind of fun to see how much you have the potential of winning, but it's going to help you whenever it comes to budgeting. So this is an important one as well. And then eligibility. Now, eligibility, the reason that you want to have this on there, mainly it's just for you and for you personally to really go in and sift through and say, okay, this is what I need to be eligible for this award. And then you can make sure that you meet each of those eligibility requirements before you continue on. So that one's just sort of a check and balances for your own good. And then the last one is the documents. So what documents do you need to submit in order to apply for that award? If you list each of those out on this Excel sheet, it's going to make sure that you really that you have each of those documents whenever you apply. So you can just cross them right off of the list, and you can easily see which ones you still need. So that one is also a great checks and balances, and it's going to help make sure that you once again are detail-oriented, you're paying attention to what you need, you know for sure that you meet. So create this document. It's going to be very helpful. That's going to be the first step before you even start searching. All right, so once you have your very cool document created, next you're going to want to find scholarships. And we say find scholarships that are for you, meaning international students. So there's quite a few scholarships out there. As you've probably noticed, whenever you search on Google or whatnot, you search for scholarships, there's a ton that pop up. But most of them are specific to students studying in their own country. So you'll want to find a database that has scholarships for international students. On internationalstudent.com, we do have one. It's here's the web address right there. In case it's a little too small, it's internationalstudent.com/scholarships/. Later on, we're going to walk you through how to sort of navigate that as well. But that's a great website. You can go there. We have a database full of scholarships. We have more added each day. And the neat thing is it's specific for you. It's for international students. Now, there might be a few stipulations on there. Perhaps you have to be from France, studying in Italy, or maybe a U.S. citizen studying in Mexico, something like that. But once again, they're all for international students, and not all of them are like that. Some of them are open as well. So you don't have to be attending a certain university, and you don't have to be from a specific country. So just get in there, do a little bit of research, and that's a great place to start. Once again, being determined is important. So we can give you these resources, but it's going to come down to you being determined and pursuing and really actively finding the scholarship and putting forth the effort to apply. All right, so eligibility. As I've already touched upon, it's very key to make sure that you find scholarships that you're eligible for. As we've already mentioned, it's going to be some hard work to apply for these scholarships. So don't waste your time getting together the documents for a scholarship that you're not eligible for. Make sure you double, triple, check the eligibility, make sure that you 100% are eligible. If you have any questions on the eligibility, most scholarships do have a point of contact that you can reach out to. Just give them a call, shoot them an email, tell them your situation, and double check that you're eligible. All right, documentation. So after you're sure that you're eligible, you're probably going to be running around trying to get the documentation together before the deadline. Make sure, once again, that you have each and every piece of document that you need. And this is where the spreadsheet is going to come in handy. It's going to help, once again, it's going to help you keep track of what you need and what you already have. Keep in mind that the documentation requirements for scholarships usually are not flexible. They usually won't make exceptions, unfortunately. If they say you have to have perhaps a financial statement, an essay, the application, and 3 letters of references, that's what you have to have. So make sure that you have each of those items before you submit. All right, so once you have the documentation, next comes the editing part. So perhaps you've written an essay or maybe just the application for the scholarship. Make sure you go back, you proofread, that you don't have any grammar errors, you have the correct punctuation, that they can actually read it if it's handwritten. You might think that the first draft is good, but more than likely there's going to be at least one error. So go back and double check that. Better to be safe than sorry after you've already put in all this time. Also, after you have checked it, a good idea is to have someone else proofread it for you. This is especially important if you're turning in a scholarship application that is not in your first language. So maybe you're turning in a scholarship application that's in English and you're not a native English speaker. Have someone who is a native English speaker proof it for you. More than likely, you can find a friend, or there's sometimes services on campuses or maybe online, something like that. But make sure that someone else puts a set of eyes on it for you. All right, so after it looks nice and clean, it's going to be time to submit the essay. Of course, you must submit it. The key point, though, is to submit it on time. So, once again, your handy document will tell you when you need to get it in. You know, sometimes you might say, well, they might be a little bit flexible, and it's only, you know, I'm just submitting it an hour late online. Usually it's pretty strict. There might even be a specific time that it has to be in by. So make sure that you notate and you follow those rules, because once again, it's free money. They're more than likely not going to make exceptions. So hopefully these tools will help you in trying to find a scholarship. What we're going to do now is we're going to actually walk you through how to find scholarships on this site, on this link here. If you'd like, then please go ahead and follow, watch us. We'll go ahead and walk you through, or you can pull up an additional window and follow along, do it yourself, whatever's easiest for you. But we will go ahead and do that for you now. Okay, so right now you should be seeing International Student. If you just click on, whenever you're there, click on the Free College Scholarship Search. And there you're going to see the scholarship search tool. It's pretty nice. You get to narrow down based upon your situation, so you don't have to sift through hundreds of scholarships. So what I would suggest doing whenever you actually do go to search is you can search what you're studying. You can see the drop down there. You can see all of the different kinds of degrees you're studying. So you can choose that, and then you can choose next, where are you studying? So you have the countries listed there. And then last, where are you from? So you can choose all of those, and what's going to happen is you're going to click search, and you're going to have a list of scholarships that pop up that are specific to your situation. So we're going to go ahead and click search here, and we have scholarships that are specific to the situation that we picked. So instead of having to search through a number of scholarships that you're not eligible for, this is going to narrow it down and make it even more specific for you. All right, now you might be wondering, what is that little box where it says search only independent award listings? Now what that means is if you check that, then you are going to see a number of scholarships that do not require you to be attending a specific school. So that's going to be great for students who aren't able to find a scholarship that's specific to their school, or maybe they're not decided yet. So keep that in mind as well. Okay, so hopefully that was a little bit helpful for you. And now we're going to address a few of the questions that you've sent in. If you haven't sent your question in yet, please go ahead and do that. We'll try to address each of them for you. Of course, we might run out of time, but we're going to try our hardest to get those answered for you. Okay, so the first one, how can I get a scholarship? I have an offer letter from the University of Maui, but fail to go to studies due to financial problems. All right, well, hopefully this hangout has helped you a little bit on where to start. Once again, you'll want to go to this site. You'll want to search for scholarships using the search box where it's not a specific award to a school might be helpful as well, because that's going to open up the table for all kinds of scholarships. All right, next. Basically, are there any full scholarships in the whole world? That's a great question. You know, I'm sure there are a few. I've seen a few, so there are some in the whole world, but the biggest part is, once again, just be determined, keep searching, and you're going to be able to find a few of those. Now, unfortunately, the scholarships that are full scholarships are going to be the most difficult to obtain. So instead of putting all of your eggs in one basket and applying to that and hoping that you get it, what you might want to do is find a few different scholarships. Find ones that are specific to you as well. If you are really active in, say, choir or art, find a scholarship that is specific to individuals who are really active in choir or art, and then you'll be more likely to get that award because there'll be less people who are applying, plus you really excel in those areas. So that's something to think of also, instead of just trying to go for the one that has the highest dollar amount. All right, I'd like to embark on my Doctor of Public Health degree study program. However, I demonstrate financial need and would like to know where I can get a scholarship to fund my program. All right, once again, here is a great place to start. There's many scholarships on there, including those who are trying to get their doctorates. So if you'd like to go there, I suggest beginning there. Once again, create this document that's going to help keep you organized whenever you're sifting through. All right, how can I fund my MS program in an Ivy League university? Once again, this is a great place to start. Something else that you might want to do is go to the school's website. More than likely, they're going to have a scholarship for students that they offer. More often than not, they're even going to have a scholarship specifically for international students. So while this is a great place to go, your school's website is as well, or your financial aid office on campus can help, and your academic advisor might also know a few on-campus scholarships for you. All right, our next question, is there any age limit? Well, really, it's going to depend on the scholarship that you apply for, because every scholarship does have different eligibility requirements, and some of those are age limits. So you're going to want to check and double check the eligibility requirements, and there you're going to find if there's an age limit or not. What is the procedure for a scholarship? If I've done my graduation by distance, am I eligible for it? Yes, yeah, there's a lot of scholarships that will help you with distance learning. That's not a problem. I mean, after all, you're getting a degree as well. So just because you're doing distance learning doesn't mean that there's not scholarships for you. Just spend the time searching for them and you'll find a few. How can we apply for scholarships in Germany is the next question. Well, going online is an excellent way because you don't have to be in a certain location and fill out a paper application. You can just go right online. Many scholarships now actually have electronic submissions that you can do, so you don't even have to worry about having to mail it in and will it make it in time. You can just do that right online, so right even from Germany, no problem. How can I apply for a scholarship in the USA? I'm an Indian wanting to apply for an undergraduate course in psychology, and I'm an average student. Hey, that's okay. There's a lot of scholarships out there. You don't have to have the best GPA or the highest SAT score in order to get a scholarship. Something that you might want to do is look for scholarships that are more targeted for your interests and what you've done. Perhaps you're really involved in volunteer activities, or perhaps you are really involved in your psychology program. Maybe you can get scholarships for volunteering or from your department, something like that. Try to put in extra hours. If you don't have a big interest, try to put in extra hours in finding your niche, because just because you don't find scholarships this year because you don't have an interest and you don't have the highest GPA, it doesn't mean that you can't work towards finding your niche and getting those scholarships next year. So find something that interests you, put in a little bit of effort for those. That way next year, whenever you go to apply for scholarships, you'll be able to say, hey, here's one that gives scholarships to students who are really active in art, and I've been doing art this past year. So then you can apply, and hopefully that'll increase your chances of getting scholarships. All right, I have a diploma. I have a diploma which I did online. Would I be eligible to apply for a scholarship? Yes, I mean, once again, you sure can. If you're continuing your studies, then you more than likely will be able to find a scholarship for your continuation of studies. Just because you have a degree from an online school doesn't mean that you'll be excluded. Just make sure, once again, that you double check the eligibility requirements. All right. I have Serbian and Hungarian citizenship. What are the odds of me getting a scholarship in the USA? The odds are really great because, once again, there's a number of scholarships, and sometimes they might only have the requirement that you're not a U.S. citizen if you're studying inside the U.S. So they might not specifically say, okay, you have to be a French citizen. They might just say you cannot be a U.S. citizen. So find awards that state that in their eligibility, and you have a great chance at applying and getting the awards. All right, I'm currently enrolled at the Fort Valley State University in Fort Valley, Georgia, as an agricultural student. Currently, I'm trying to get loans and on-campus job to pay for school fees, but the toll is too much. Are there any scholarships that I can apply for? Yes, once again, what you might want to do is go to that scholarship search and do the where you're studying at. That's going to help narrow down, at least you know for sure what school you're studying at, so you can narrow down where you'll be studying to find scholarships for your area. Once again, go to your school's website, contact your academic advisor, and they should be able to help you a little bit more as far as if there's any scholarships available to you. All right, so let's see. I applied for a scholarship but was unsuccessful. My offer is still pending at their school. Can you please help me to acquire a scholarship? Yes, we sure can. We have a whole database sitting there waiting for you to sift through and pick out a few to apply for. So just, go to this website, put in a little bit of time, find the perfect scholarships for you and apply. And really it's hard to say to give you specific, you need to apply to this scholarship, and this scholarship to fund your education, because really it's going to vary with each individual. Only you know your situation the best and what scholarships you have the best odds at winning. So use a little bit of your personal insight and try to pick out those scholarships that you think you have the best odds of winning. Are these scholarships for master's degrees for international students from Liberia? Yes, yeah, there's some scholarships on there for students who are studying their master's degree, and they're not just for international students who are coming to the U.S. They're for students who are going to other countries as well. So definitely jump in there and see what scholarships you have available. Okay, seeking scholarships. Are there any scholarships for master's degree for international students from Liberia? Oh, sorry, we already answered that one. All right, I'm Portuguese, but I live in Madrid. How can I find a scholarship to study music in an English university? That's a great question. So after you've gone, you've searched online here, perhaps you've contacted your school, what you might want to do is just try to find institutions that are big in the music world. Often those types of companies, they will have large music scholarships that they'll grant specifically for students who are very active in music. So if you know of a big company that does a lot of that has a lot of interest in music and things like that, then definitely try to pursue them. Go to their website, see if they have any scholarships that are specific for your interest. Okay. I did my post-graduation with my major in finance. Whenever I explore to find scholarships, a lengthy and bulky procedure becomes a hurdle to apply. Yes, that's very true. We can't agree more. That's part of the reason why we say don't give up, stay determined, be determined. It is going to be a lengthy process, but in the end it's going to be worth it because it's going to be helping to fund your education. So stay motivated. Perhaps you can set aside, if you don't have a big chunk of time all at once, we know that you're busy students, you're trying to get things off the ground with your international studies. Perhaps you can set aside maybe 30 minutes each night. You can go spend that time searching for scholarships. Set a timer on your phone. That way you don't even go over. But then at least you're getting a little bit done every day, and that'll break it down and not make it seem like such a big hurdle. But yeah, just stick with it, and it's going to be worth it in the end because it's going to help you to achieve your goal. If you're attending a university online and you're at the stage of doing the proposal for your research paper, can you apply? Yes, most definitely. Some of these scholarships, they don't even require you to be currently enrolled. So, there's some that are even for high school students who will be attending a university. There's some who are doing research after they've graduated. There's all kinds of eligibility requirements. There's really a scholarship that will meet every person's situation. So once again, it's just a matter of time of getting in there and seeing which ones are for you. How can I apply for a scholarship in the UK? Once again, just go right online, do your research. If you don't have the option or you don't really feel like mailing in the scholarship application, just find ones that you can submit right online. It's going to make it a lot easier of a process, and you can do it really from anywhere in the world. So it can be an easy process if you find scholarships that are willing to work with you if you're internationally based. Are there any scholarships for Italian students to study in the U.S.? Yes, once again, there sure are. There are a number of different scholarships, as you'll see. Hopefully you guys have gone in and you've done the search yourself to see what scholarships come up that meet your situation. And hopefully these ones, it's from before. These questions are before you went in there and you did the search, because I guarantee you that you will find at least one that you're eligible for. So jump in there and see what you can find. How can I get a scholarship? Let's see. How can I get a scholarship to fund my PhD program? Once again, just follow these steps here. Create your document. Find a great website online that's specific for international students. That way you're being more time efficient with your search. And then just really narrow down the ones that you are eligible for and you think that you have a great chance of winning it, then apply for those. Okay. I have an admissions offer from the University of California in structural engineering. I'm not finding any scholarships or any sorts of grants available. Please help me out. Okay, well, if you've gone onto our site and you haven't found any that are specific to your school, what you might want to do is try checking that box where it says that it's going to list independent awards. And then you're going to have a bunch of scholarships that come up for you that are not requiring you to be visiting or attending a certain school. So these are going to be typically from corporations that are awarding students scholarships maybe based on special interests and things like that. So check that. Don't only limit yourself to scholarships that work at your school, because there's a number of scholarships that don't require you to be attending a certain school. So just keep that in mind. Okay, please help. I need a scholarship to study Masters in Public Health in the USA. All right, well, no problem. Hopefully this, once again, you've got your Excel sheet created. If not, once again, that's the first thing that I would do if I were you. Before you even start your search, then just schedule some time for you to go in and perform that search. Once you find the perfect scholarship, just fill out the application, submit the documentation on time. And those are the biggest pieces of advice that I can give to you. All right, I'd like to know where to find a scholarship for my daughter in the USA. She's from Brazil and wants to study animation. A degree that we do not have here. Where can I find more information about that? Thank you. Okay, yeah, well, if it's not on there, once again, this would be a good chance for you to click the box that says independent awards, because usually those awards are not going to require you to have a specific pursuit of just one degree. So they're pretty flexible, the independent awards are. Once again, I would recommend finding scholarships that are not specific to her degree, that might be maybe solely academic. So perhaps she has an outstanding SAT score, so you can find scholarships that will award for that and not require that she have a certain degree pursuit. Or maybe she's really active in something else outside of academics. That's always another outlet that she can pursue as well. So I would recommend that. Don't just limit yourself to what's available at the school or even what's available on here, because often you can find other third-party corporations that are willing to give awards as well. Maybe there's a company that's really big in the animation. There's an animation company that has a scholarship that they might be awarding, so that might be an option also. Okay. Can undergraduate international students apply for grants in the USA? If yes, which ones? Well, really it's just going to be like any other scholarship. You're going to have to put in the time to find it, and then you're going to have to put in the time to really apply. So just like any other scholarship, you'll want to follow these steps, and hopefully that'll help you to win that grant you're after. I'm an American interested in studying publishing in Canada. The program is not undergrad or graduate. It's a certificate. Any tips on finding a scholarship? Yes, yeah. Once again, zone in on the eligibility requirements, because sometimes there's not even a requirement that you have to be studying an undergrad, graduate program. Sometimes it is just that you are outside of your country, maybe pursuing research or things like that. There's some that are much more flexible in their eligibility requirements than others. So those will be the ones that you'll want to go after. That one, though, it is a little bit tricky. So what you might want to do is try contacting your your advisor and see if they have heard of any other international students in the past who have won certain awards or who have applied to certain awards. Usually, they're a pretty good go-to for that. Your academic advisors have great insight on that. So make sure that you utilize them because they can do more than just help advise with which classes to take. Okay, I have created 9 patents. I am an international student who'll take undergraduate courses in the University of Alabama in fall 2014. I've done many experiments in high school, therefore, how can I get other scholarships? Wow, that's great. You seem very eager, and I'm sure you won't have any problem finding scholarships. It sounds like you have a great passion for whatever it is that you have the patents on. So I would recommend really utilizing that. Spend time finding scholarships that are available for whatever those patents are for. And really just zone in on that. That's something really great that you'll want to mention. If you are applying for scholarships, make sure that you can tell your story through the essay if it asks. Make sure that you do mention that. All right, how can I get a scholarship for civil engineering in the UK? Once again, just follow these steps. Create your document, do your research, pay attention to details, and stay determined, and that's going to help you to guide your search and ensure that you apply for the most effective, the most effective chances of you getting the award. How can I get student help for living expenses in the UK? I have a full tuition fee scholarship and started my PhD. Oh, well, great. Congratulations. That's great. You have your school paid for. That's very excellent. There are scholarships available that are just for living expenses. That's, once again, it's going to be stated in what the scholarship is for. Whenever you're searching on our website for scholarships, there is a portion on there that it mentions what it can be used for. So if you are needing a scholarship maybe just for food and school supplies, then that's something that you'll want to look at. There are ones that are available though just for those extra living expenses, and I know they can quickly add up. So kudos to you for trying to find scholarships to help fill in the gaps for those. How can I apply for scholarships for international students, even if I'm not going to college in the U.S.? Well, once again, there's scholarships that are for students maybe who are French going to study in Italy. Maybe there's scholarships for students who are Mexican going to study in Canada. They're not necessarily all U.S. focused or outbound. So there's a number of scholarships available for you, even though you're not studying in the U.S. So don't give up. You're going to find when there's a lot out there. Even on our site, we have a lot. Just make sure that you look at the requirements. Make sure that it's really flexible. Perhaps it only says that it's for international students who are studying outside of their home country, and not, it doesn't say international students studying in the U.S. Those are the ones that you'll want to focus on. When should I submit my score to the university that offers this scholarship? Let's see, by score, I'm going to guess that you're meaning SAT or ACT. You're going to want to do that at the time of application. So whenever you apply for the school that you'll be attending, make sure that you get in those numbers to them. And during that time, if they have a scholarship that they award students, then they'll go ahead and look at those scores and award them to you. Now that's for scholarships if they award them whenever students apply. So make sure you get those in when you apply. And then talk to your advisor once again, see if there's any additional awards that you can apply for, or go online to their website. Usually they'll have those listed as well. And if you apply to those, then you'll want to submit your scores also if they ask for it. All right, I'm from Jamaica, and I've been searching like crazy to find scholarships to study in the U.S. I've already graduated from college. Where can I go to apply for a scholarship that best suits me? All right, so if you're wanting to pursue your studies in the U.S., once again, that's just, you're in the same boat as someone who is going over for the first time. You need money, but it's going to take a little bit of time to find that money, because once again, scholarships are free. So for someone to give you this free money, it unfortunately does still take a little bit of work. So just use the resources we've talked about today just as if you are an undergraduate student, and you will be able to find scholarships for you as well in the pursuit of your graduate's degree. Can I apply for a scholarship in my third or second semester of a master's? Of course, yeah. If the eligibility requirements say that you're within, the eligibility limitations, perhaps you have to, they'll state whether you can be pursuing your master's or not. So if you're eligible according to the eligibility requirements, and the second or third semester falls within the deadline that you can apply, then most definitely, yeah, just take a look at the eligibility requirements and the deadline. Once again, every scholarship is going to be different. No two scholarships, more than likely, unless they're from the same corporation, are going to be the exact same. So if you don't meet the requirements, the eligibility for scholarship A, go to the next one and see if you meet the requirements and deadline for scholarship B. All right, when do American school years start? It's really going to depend on the school, and there's a few different semesters. There's a few different semesters there, and it depends. Sometimes there's a summer semester, there's spring semester, there's fall semester. So those are going to be the three main ones, but it's really going to vary from school to school depending on the exact dates. Plus, some schools do have a few periods where you can take some, classes. They're just maybe like a short 6-week class or something like that. So that's going to be a little bit different as well. It's really going to vary depending on the school and what degree program you're after. Are there any special scholarships for students with a Jewish background? Yeah, I'm sure that there are, most definitely. What you can do, you can, once again, go search our site, see if we have any. I'm sure that there's a number online as well. If you just do a quick Google search, I'm sure that you'll find a whole plethora. More than likely, you can find a scholarship, on any topic. You might be surprised on what you can find a scholarship for. There's a pretty wide range of things you can get a scholarship on. So even if you are interested in something that is pretty obscure, you think, oh, I'll never be able to find a scholarship for this, do a little bit of research. You might be surprised as to what you can find, and it might pay off. How can I get a scholarship if I just want to study for a short period of time? Or can I get help for an internship during the summer? I'm Mexican and live in Mexico. Okay, well, unfortunately, if you're Mexican and you're living in Mexico and you don't plan on studying outside your home country at all, more than likely, we're not going to have a scholarship for you, with the exception of if maybe you're doing an online degree program through a school in the U.S. We might have something for you. That's where you'll want to take the time, go see, what we have that matches your situation. And then if you're wanting to study for a short period of time outside of your home country, then yes, most definitely. Scholarships usually, you can find scholarships that don't say, okay, you have to be spending, a year there, or you have to be finishing your degree. You can find ones that don't have those stipulations, most definitely. All right, how do I find scholarships for undergraduate studies in forensic science? I'm a UK citizen hoping to study in the USA. Just take time, do your research, stay organized, and once again, utilize the tools that we've given you today. Most definitely, whether you're a citizen of the UK or a citizen of Mexico or a citizen of the US, this website, if you're studying outside your home country, this website's going to apply to you. So really, no matter where you're a citizen of, you can visit that website and you can create this document, and those two tools are going to help you in finding awards that you can apply for and making sure that you get everything in that you need. Are there master's scholarships available for New Zealanders in America? I completed my undergraduate degree at Syracuse University. Yeah, you know, unfortunately, I'm not 100% sure right off the top of my head, as we get new awards daily. I'm sure that we do, as we have hundreds and hundreds of scholarships in our database. You really just want to go and search. Hopefully you were able to see the Hangout, but we went through and we showed you how to narrow down the search based upon where you're from, where you're going. If you missed that part of the Hangout, you might want to, afterwards you'll have access to view this again, so you might want to pop back in and view it, and you can go watch us navigate through, and that might help you to find the scholarship specific to your situation. There are a lot of no essay scholarships offered on the internet. Can these be trusted, and how feasible are they? Great question. Yes, you know, just because they say no essay, they most certainly can be trusted, because usually they're still going to require other things. They might want you to submit a few letters of recommendation, maybe a financial statement showing that you have a need. Most definitely, they can be trusted. What you'll want to do, though, is try to find reviews on them. See what other people are saying from them. If other people had a bad experience in the past, that's what you'll want to do. Just because there's not an essay, it doesn't mean necessarily that they're going to be bad scholarships, that they're a scam, but most definitely still do your research. You'll want to see what other people are saying about them. But that's a great question. Something else that you might want to be leery of, something that should raise a red flag, is if they're asking you to submit money in order to apply for scholarships. Usually these scholarships you're going to want to do your research on, because not too many are going to ask you to submit money to apply. Those you'll definitely want to do research on, because, I mean, usually there are some cases where there are legit scholarships that you have to, you know, submit a small application fee, but usually, you know, just do your research on those. Those can be questionable sometimes. I just gained admissions into 3 U.S. schools. 2 are offering full tuition study for students with a graduate assistantship. Let's see. I intend to fund my study through a program, but I'm not sure of the slot. Is there a way around this? Okay. I think that you're asking if there's a way around having the assistantship so that you can still get the full tuition. More than likely, no, there's not. If those are the terms that they've given you, that you have to do the assistantship in order to get the full scholarship, then you're going to have to do that, unfortunately. Your only really other alternatives would be to see if you can find a scholarship from elsewhere, or maybe if they have some other type of arrangement. But usually they won't just say, okay, you're accepted for the full scholarship if you do this assistantship, but then later say you don't have to do the assistantship. That's usually not the case, unfortunately. All right, some scholarship applications should be submitted before I even know my final grades. How am I supposed to know if I'm eligible or not? Yeah, that is a tough one. You know, unfortunately, if you don't have the information needed in order to apply, then you might not be able to apply for those. What you might be able to do is, you know, on some of them, and you might want to call to double check specifically with the scholarship, but perhaps they're asking for your final graduation GPA. If you're a high school student, maybe it sounds like. What you can do is put your estimated date of graduation on there. See if they would be able to accept this along with your current GPA and any transcripts that you have. Some of them might be willing to make this exception, so that's one option that you have. But you might want to contact them beforehand to double check on this, but at least that might be an option. All right, I'm from Mexico, and I've been looking for some scholarships. I just found ones that are for Hispanics living in the U.S. Do you know some other scholarships that apply if I don't live in the U.S.? I'm an undergraduate student. You know, I don't know specific ones off of the top of my head, but we have a number in our database once again. So visit online and search specific to your situation. And I don't have a doubt that you'll be able to find one that is specific to your situation. We have quite a bit of scholarships on there. All right, we have one question. What is a cosigner in the U.S.? Now, that actually applies to a loan. So after you have all of the scholarships that you're able to get, then some students, they do choose to go with getting an international student loan as well, or applying for an international student loan. And to do this, you have to have a cosigner. A cosigner is an individual who's basically joining your loan application. What the lender is going to do is look at the credit history of that cosigner to double check and make sure that it's going to be that they're lending to an individual that will be able to pay back the loan. So if you're not able to pay back, is this cosigner able to pay back for you? That's what they're going to be checking. So it's essentially someone who's joining the loan application with you. Okay, I'm an Ethiopian having a scholarship in France studying towards a master's degree and want to find a PhD scholarship as soon as I finish this one. Very ambitious. I like it. Are there unique scholarship opportunities for students coming from developing countries like Ethiopia? Most definitely. Yes, there sure are. And what you're going to want to do is make sure that you utilize on the search tool where you're from. This is going to bring up a whole slew of scholarships for students who are from Ethiopia. So whenever you do your search on there, make sure that you use those drop-down tables in the search box. That'll help you a lot. But there most definitely are scholarships for students from Ethiopia. I'm a graduate student willing to change my profession to get a master's degree in Canada. Is it possible to apply to a master's program scholarship of a different specialization? Let's see. So if the requirement of the scholarship is that you're pursuing a master's program in a certain field, and that's the one that you're pursuing, then yes. But if the eligibility says you have to be pursuing a master's in a certain field and you're pursuing one in a different field, then no, you would not be meeting those requirements. But just because you have a degree in one area or you started a degree program in one area and you're switching, that doesn't mean in most cases that you're not eligible. You just would need to be pursuing the required field that the scholarship is listed in the future. Are there any limits for age? Once again, check out the eligibility requirements. Every scholarship will be different. Some of them do have age limits. Usually it's going to be the minimum age. Usually there's not a maximum age. Usually it's just the minimum there. But double check the eligibility requirements, and that'll tell you 100% if there are age restrictions to apply for that scholarship. Okay, I'm a visual designer from Argentina. Does the site present an offer of scholarships for master degree programs in the U.S.? What about maintenance during my studies? Very good. Yes, that's important as well, maintenance of your studies, because just because you get funding for this year, it doesn't mean that your second, third, fourth year will be funded. So it's important to think ahead whenever it comes to where your funding is going to be coming from. But yes, we do. We have scholarships, as well as I'm sure your school does as well, for students who are pursuing a master's degree from Argentina. Once again, you will want to use the Where Are You From drop-down option on the school search at this link. We showed you this earlier. Hopefully you were able to see as well. But utilize that drop-down as to where you're from, and you'll see scholarships that are specific for people who are from Argentina. Now, whenever it comes to maintenance of your studies, sometimes you can find scholarships that say, okay, they'll award you X amount for the entire time of your studies, or maybe for 3 years. Make sure you notate that. If not, then unfortunately, every semester, every year that you need aid, you're going to have to go back through this process and find scholarships to apply for. But you know what? If you've created this document, this is going to help you from doing work again. Hopefully you've included the links So then that next semester or next year, you can go back to those links that you've previously applied for scholarships through, and you can see if they're offering another scholarship that you might be eligible for. So that's something that hopefully will save you a bit of time if you fill out this document as well. All right, some scholarships require language certificates. How can I solve this problem and get one? Get one of the grants for English. So I'm guessing that you have not taken the tests like the IELTS or the TOEFL. In that case, unfortunately, if they do require it, you know, you're going to have to submit that information. If you, perhaps it's just a matter of you getting in to take the tests, you weren't able to schedule it. I mean, I guess you could always put, you know, the dates that you're going to be taking the test, but usually this isn't going to be an exception. If they ask for that, score, then you're going to have to give them that score, unfortunately. So you might want to go ahead and look into scheduling to take that test. On internationalstudent.com, we have a whole section related to tests as well. So if you're not really sure about the process or how to get started, go to internationalstudent.com and we have that resource for you as well. All right, and our last question here. I'm a UK citizen looking to study forensic science in the US, and I'm involved in a lot of third world volunteering. Great. How do I search for scholarships that support this interest? You know, really going through the eligibility, once again, that's going to be how you do search for those. Something that you might want to do is in our scholarship search, there's an option where you can search for the award name. So you might be able to type in, you know, a keyword there, perhaps volunteering, and that might be in the title of the scholarship. So that might pop up, you know, maybe volunteer or volunteering, and that might pull up a few awards for you also. So hopefully that will help you a little bit. All right, well, that was our last question of the day. Hopefully this has given you a little bit more insight into what you need to do to find a scholarship. Once again, stay with it. Make sure that you remain dedicated and detail-oriented. Create the document that we've gone over today, and this should help you at least a little bit in trying to find the aid that you need to study abroad. Good luck.